Well, next time we play the Packers, we'll win.
Yeah, sure right. About that. Sure. So, but I do want to say that Molson Coors, Coors Brewing Company, did acquire Leinenkugels, or they merged in 1988. And so they've been partners for a while. It's been a good relationship. But yeah, this is like a big shock to the community as far as this brewery going under. So they're shutting down that brewery and they're moving it to their core operations in Milwaukee. And so yeah, it's a hit on the town of Chippewa Falls. It's definitely.
They're moving from you have a picture of that place to pull up?
Yeah, I do have.
They're moving from this super beautiful area to the city. So to me, it says they're consolidating.
Yeah,
and it's kind of a bummer because look at some of these photos are just beautiful,
classic Americana. And so there's a Leinie Lodge that's attached. It's kind of separate, and that's going to remain open. So that's a big kind of tourist draw, big gift shop. They do tours of the brewery, but now there won't be a brewery to give tours of. So
yeah, what a bummer. Yeah. I'm always I love the summer shanty. I was telling you that.
Yeah.
And a lot of times our liquor store here in Norwood has some Leinenkugel every now and again, which is kind of damn, dude, what you doing all over here? Look at you, all nice in the fridge. And I always usually buy it up, and it's gone pretty quickly. But I grew up drinking Leinenkugels as well, just in Chicago areas. Every bar had them on tap, so kind of bummer to hear.
I'll tell you a little hidden known secret. They got Sunset Wheat that is phenomenal. One of my favorite beers. Yeah, Sunset Wheat.
I'll have to try that. I've tried several of them. In Chicago, you go to some of these bars, and it's just I don't know. You probably seen bars like this with 100 some beers on tap.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Leinenkugel had a lot of real estate, for sure.
Yeah,
but Sunset Wheat.
Yes, sir.
Dude, we gotta ask them to carry that at the shop here.
For real. It's seasonal,
Totally.
But I'm here for it, dude. That'd be rad.
Well, shit, that place is beautiful, and I hope that everybody that's going through employment changes and stuff because of that is doing all right. There's probably pretty big hometown vibe and workforce that goes into that. So moving it to Milwaukee is kind of a long shot. I mean, how far away is Milwaukee from there?
Oh, it's probably a good 4 hours.
Yeah. So for us, it's almost, that would be Grand Junction is 3 hours away. So that's a pretty big move for a lot of families, a lot of people. Great brewery.
Yeah.
Wish that was not happening. So, but thank you all for joining us on Break the Cypher.
Yeah.
We are back right before the holiday here. I think all of us and all of you guys are kind of planning your holiday getaways right now, or your holiday adventures with the kids. I have a kid myself, so we're trying to figure out what we want to do over the holiday. I asked him, he was like, I just want to go shooting. Classic Simon. Yeah. He's just I'm like, where do you want to go? He's like, let's go to the shooting range in Nucla. I'm like, that's all you want to do? He's like, yeah. I was like, what do you want for Thanksgiving? He's like, he said, I want a turkellana. I was like, what's that? He's like, it's turkey with stuffing. I was like, hey, just come up with that on your own.
Put his own twist on it.
Yeah. I had to do what do I want? And I was like, I want green bean casserole with chopped up bacon on it.
Ooh,
I feel like I always see green bean casserole, but never the chopped up bacon.
No.
Right?
That's definitely that added spice.
Yeah, I'll take a picture of it.
Especial.
I'll take a picture of it. But yeah, thank you all for joining us. We got a great show for you. We have a couple news articles we want to backtrack on and then touch base on, because one came out a couple weeks ago and the next one has followed. And it's really interesting because it's just kind of when I saw it on the X.
Yep.
Because that's where I saw it. I saw it on the X. It was a marijuana moment article, and it was this beer company actually, and they're called. Well, no, it's not a beer company. is called Beer Industry Group. And I gotta tell you, dude, they are high as fuck with this article. Like, you gotta check this article out. It's on Marijuana Moment. Just look up beer and you'll find Beer Industry Group, and we'll pull up some slides of the article and all that jazz. But Beer Industry Group pushes for tighter regulations on cannabis products and higher taxes than are levied on alcohol. And I'm like, where the fuck? What are you talking about?
Where did you come off putting this idea out?
Yeah. Where'd you come up? And dude, I pulled up this other article from like 2 weeks ago, because it's like 2 weeks after this article came out, which this article headline is "Using Marijuana is Tied to Lower Consumption of Alcohol." And then these motherfuckers are like, oh yeah, like let's start talking about how like cannabis should have higher taxes, more regulations. And it's like, why? And who is this Beer Industry Group? And don't get us wrong, we love beer. Oh, yeah. We were just talking about it. We love beer. That's not a thing, but like,
we're boycotting today.
Yeah, we're having Bloody Marys because of this. So
take that, Beer Industry Group.
Yeah, Beer Industry Group. What the hell are you talking about? Tighter, right? Like, that's like the most hypocritical thing I've ever seen. You just like have forgotten that you once went through Prohibition. That's all I see here. And you know, this article is super interesting, so we'll like get into it in 1 second here. We're gonna take a little.
Oh yeah. A little Bloody Sunday.
Yeah, and so like I said, there's this article that came out like 2 weeks ago. Using marijuana is tied to lower consumption of alcohol. All right. And then just the other day, I'm like cruising the X. and yeah, this article comes out. Leading beer industry trade group has put out a statement of guiding principles to address what it calls the proliferation of largely unregulated intoxicating hemp and cannabis products, warning of risks to consumers, communities resulting from THC consumption. And it's like, to me, like, I'm like, where do you guys get off? Like, alcohol, while I like beer, is the obvious like demise and destruction of a lot of communities. There's so much drinking and driving that results in death.
Oh yeah. There's
drunken nonsense and fights and domestic disputes, and these guys like get off like even coming out with this article. It kind of blew me away, you know?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, as you're saying, it's far more destructive, and then they're gonna try to like flip the script and say, oh, you know, we need, what does it say here? Lawmakers take a zero tolerance approach to THC in driving, and that's just like obviously not okay. We touched on it in our last episode, but the nanograms of THC in your bloodstream do not equate to impaired driving. And so this zero tolerance approach is absolutely hypocritical. I mean, even BAC, you can have some drinks and drive.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like you said, like in the last episode, we talked about how there's this whole study about how the nanograms of THC in your bloodstream are not attached to your mental impairedness. And so like that test is like, it's not effective for figuring out if somebody is impaired. Okay, but that's what we're basing it all on. And so it's like, all right, what's the zero tolerance approach other than that? Like the P test. So it's like, I smoke a joint, you could pull me over like 30 days later and like what the hell are you talking about? And so that just like blew me away. And the whole thing about like the group also calls for a federal excise tax on both hemp and cannabis products, with the tax rate set higher than the highest rate for any beverage or alcohol product. And it's like, I'm not saying that these guys are going to grow any legs because they sound nuts.
Yeah.
But I did pull up some information for us because I think maybe the beer industry group people would like knowing what kind of taxes we're facing as an industry. And so I have some like info on our stores in our state of Colorado. And so I'm just going to run through these real quick. Our Colorado regular sales tax for every business is 2.9%. We pay that. Then we pay a recreational marijuana sales tax. That's 15%. Then we pay a county tax. That's 1%. If my math is serving me right, we're at 18.9%. Then after that, we have what's called excise tax. Okay, so we're at 18.9% right there, right? And that excise tax is 15% on the wholesale value of a pound of cannabis in the state of Colorado. And so what that means is like when we transfer a pound of weed from our garden to our store, that costs us about $150. Okay, so 18.9% sales tax plus a little bit more because I'm forgetting something. Oh yeah, the town tax was 4.5%. So now we are up to like, I don't know what that is, 23.4%.
Yeah, sounds right.
Plus the excise tax. And then this this beer industry group, they're like, oh yeah, like we should really tax these people more. Unfortunately, like marijuana is reducing their consumption of beer. And we really just want to like choke them right the fuck out. Obvious move.
Oh, yeah. They're seen as a threat, competition, and the beer industry is seemingly relentless in their approach to tax out and also through policy try to kind of over-regulate THC and the marijuana industry because they see it as a threat.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, not for nothing, but like they're like being like, oh, you should tax marijuana higher. And it's like, we already are. And so here's what I'm thinking, which I don't even want to say this because I really don't think the government should be taking that amount of tax from marijuana. But it's like, you got some catching up to do, Mr. Beer. And we didn't even talk about the IRS. Like the IRS is a whole nother thing. You know, like they tax us as an illegal drug cartel. So we are not allowed to write off expenses. So all those expenses end up being income. And then we have to report that as income at the end, like rent and payroll and advertising, CPAs, lawyers, income. And so it's like, oh yeah, like let's tax these guys more. That makes the most sense. And that's just like in light too, like hopefully that IRS stuff is changing. We have a big DEA hearing that's supposed to come up.
Nice.
I think it's December 5th. The DEA is supposed to be moving us to a Schedule 3 instead of a Schedule 1, which would mean that like we should be able to have banking and we should not have to pay tax as a drug cartel. And so that's really cool. But we don't know if that's going to happen. In fact, like I was like looking that up, and that just seems to be all sorts of nonsense about this DEA meeting coming up out there. You guys are probably seeing it everywhere. It's like Trump's attorney general hates cannabis. Senate leader Schumer will continue to push. Blah, blah, blah. DEA judge invites pro. I'm like, oh my God, this is the bullshit we've been dealing with for fucking 14 years. It's like these headlines. It's like deja vu. Okay. It's like, just reschedule it. All right. And the whole Safer Banking Act, like there's like this big like dispute going on, like, oh, it's good, it's bad. All right, how about this? Reschedule it as Schedule 3 and tell banks you're not going to like cripple them if they carry our accounts. I feel like that's all we really got to do.
Yeah, that seems more than reasonable.
Yeah. Yeah. And so anyways, back to the beer industry group, people. Just to clarify, we're already paying a shitload more in taxes than you are, and we're causing a lot less problems. And with that said, I enjoy beer too. So go fuck yourself. And anyways, I just really kind of like, it blew my hair back. And I was on X when I saw it, like I said.
Yeah.
And so like I put these two articles together and I was like, yeah, this just in and rah. Right after this other article about lowered alcohol consumption, and people seem to dig it. It got shared. Most people don't ever share my things, ever. And this one got a little traction, so I was like, oh yeah.
The people are listening. Yeah, they're fed up with this.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I feel like that was a really important thing to bring up, because it's like we don't even know who this beer industry group is, but they're making the headlines, and they're trying to make cannabis industry look bad, but they're making themselves look bad. And so don't hold it against them. You know, like not everybody can think correctly at all times. But if you look up the statistics on car crashes caused by alcohol versus cannabis, then you will see the light that we're bringing to your attention here. And so, yeah, just wanted to touch on that real quick. The other thing that, we've had some issue with this as well. Change of topic here. It has to do with, Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And there's a whole article about how Facebook and Instagram are kind of, I don't know, they're kind of impeding on people a little bit. I understand that, like, they don't want people like selling cannabis on there. That makes total sense, but I feel like it's a little bit overkill. Like, remember when we started our Instagram page?
Yep.
I had our like cool little picture of the praying mantis on the weed, and like 30 seconds later, our account was suspended
Immediately.
Yeah, we had to dispute it. And it was like, what?
No posts, no nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
Account just created, no reference to marijuana, really. I mean, it's Break the Cypher.
Yeah.
And they don't want that.
We weren't selling. We didn't even like post a picture of weed.
No.
And so it was like super confusing to me at that point. And then I have like met people over the last, I don't know, so I guess several years, but really more so over the last couple months that have just like conveyed that their accounts have been shut off because they're promoting products that are used to grow weed. They're promoting products that are used to sell weed. And their accounts are getting shut off. And I feel like it's just like, I just don't understand how it's so acceptable to just brand and stamp alcohol and cigarettes everywhere my entire life, whether it's NASCARs or concerts or commercials or Budweiser Frog. It's okay everywhere. But like we try to open up an Instagram account and they're all like, oh yeah, Break the Cypher with this cartoon praying mantis. These guys are a risk. And so anyways, the article is a marijuana vape company is getting mad and they slam Instagram and Meta for blocking cannabis related sales. We'll pull something up for you here so you can see what we're talking about. But yeah, it's actually a pretty big company. Have you ever heard of Puffco?
I think so.
They make a really great product. It is fairly expensive.
Sure.
And so I don't own one. So many people do. They love it. They take care of it. And it's very effective. I've like smoked one before.
Yeah.
But it's basically like a portable electronic dab rig. So you can put like some, very pure like oil in there, set your temperature, hit it, and it's like,
oh, on the go.
Yeah, people get all into like the accessories and the third-party add-ons to it. It's really cool. The article kind of goes over what it was they did. It was a video trying to sell their product. There's like a sale coming up because it's Black Friday.
Oh, yeah.
So everybody's doing sales.
Yep.
They're not selling weed. They're selling this thing.
A product.
Okay. And
a device.
And yeah, I guess they got some heat. Maybe their account got suspended. But it's kind of weird that like, Facebook and Instagram are just getting so overly involved in legal commerce.
Right.
It's not illegal to sell a vaporizer.
No.
Even if there's a picture of weed next to it, you don't know that that's weed, or if it tests positive for the illegal Schedule 1 THC.
No. That's just the concentrate or the product that's used for that device. And so that is overstepping their bounds, in my humble opinion. And I think it's not the first time Meta, Instagram, Facebook, what have you, have kind of crossed the boundaries into kind of over exercising their constraint of small businesses, of products that are related to certain industries that they kind of deem unacceptable. Like, what is their prerogative for, shutting down this account or putting a ban on this ad or anything like that? There needs to be just cause, and I don't think they often have that just cause. They just kind of go ahead and do that, which is not right, because people have the freedom of speech to express themselves, to promote their products, and nowadays there's only so many social platforms that people can do that on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, even here, I mean, they're like, there's like they're like posting some things that some users said about this, because apparently like Puffco got like shut out or whatever, and they are a pretty big company. It's not like, and it's not like they were really doing anything wrong, but like one of their followers posted, "Crazy how this platform sells sex, yet it blocks medicine," one user said. Another pointed out that I just saw an overtly racist reel supporting literal hate, and I bet IG will just let that live. And it kind of makes you wonder, because I really don't know the answer to that. Like, I don't know if Instagram will let that live or Facebook will let that live, but I do know that when we try to start our little like Break the Cypher podcast, like us two guys, right? I mean, I know now we have like 1 million listeners and stuff out there, but it's like, at the beginning we didn't, and it was like, oh really? Like, you're just gonna like cut us off at the knees just like that? And so, that kind of just like brings up this point, where like, whether it's we're talking about the DEA and rescheduling, or we're talking about the attorney general, or we're talking about this politician, that politician, what I hear out there is that we are just continuing to make a massive deal over weed, over something that like is relatively not harmful. Like, we've proved that over the last 15 years. Nobody's jumping off buildings, killing each other. Very low crime rate increase, as everybody projected, for one. And we're still having these conversations about like why do we even have a specific banking act for us, except for like the federal government being like, okay, yeah, you can take their money. We've been doing it for years.
Honestly,
right? Like, they've been taking, the federal government has weed money in their bank account.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I don't understand why we have to have like
Definitely.
a special act. We just need to reschedule it. Let the states regulate it. Let the states know that they're overtaxing us and crushing us, right? That's going to be a common theme, because they're doing it in every single state that cannabis is legal, which is only going to make it harder and harder for the little guy to survive in the cannabis industry. And in my opinion, that is who the industry should be for. Those are the people who cared about the industry this whole time. And so for them to have to forfeit their opportunity because of the regulations and taxes, because us as voters are willing to say yes to anything if it results in legalization, right? We can't do that. We cannot be willing to say yes to anything. We cannot let the politicians just take and take and take and take. We cannot let a beer industry group, we can't give them any more headlines, is the truth. Like, they don't deserve any more headlines. They don't know what they're talking about. They're drunk as fuck.
They are.
Yeah.
I'm sick of the beer industry. I mean, it hits home for me. I think maybe a lot of the listeners do know Leinenkugel's brewery. It's been around for a long time. It's a big staple out of Wisconsin, and basically, out of nowhere, the headquarters of Leinenkugel's in Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin, is shutting down their oldest factory, brewing facility of 157 years, and they're just kind of shifting that out to Milwaukee. People are losing jobs. There's over 50 jobs that are going to be lost. Like, the community is pretty heartbroken of it. And they attribute it to this decline in alcohol and beer sales over the years. Brand volumes declining 7.3% in the last quarter. And so it's just, they don't really have the best of the people at heart. And I think that they're really driving these bottom line margins, looking at quarter over quarter profit sales, things like that. And so just as a quick, side by side to that, in the beer industry making headlines, it's like, oh, they're just going to close down one of the oldest breweries in Wisconsin, 157-year-old Leinenkugel's OG factory, just to shift it out to Milwaukee, where their bigger facility is. And I don't know, it just rubs me the wrong way, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I feel that for sure. Yeah, I love Leinenkugels. Like growing up in Chicago, it was around quite a bit, and I still love it. What did you tell me about? It was the Sunset Wheat.
Sunset Wheat is a seasonal that's pretty under the radar, and I would recommend it to everyone. It is a great beer.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for that summer shanty. You know, always have been. I like lighter beers. I like more of that like Belgium kind of like, I don't know. You know, it's that lighter color. It's like really beautiful.
Oh yeah.
Sit on the table. It's like, oh my god, you look so good. But yeah, dude. I mean, it's pretty interesting. It's pretty frustrating. All this stuff going on, all this discrimination at this point, right? Like Instagram, Facebook.
Yeah.
We got this beer industry people. We got Snoop Dogg and Al Roker Jr. on the Today Show. They're fine. They're cool. It's cool then. Hey, it's fine if fucking Snoop Dogg and Al Roker do it. Ain't nobody got anything to say about that. And I like seeing them. Like they're good people. It's not about them. It's just like, you know. Like, why is it that, like, Facebook and Instagram have to have their policy, but, like, the Today Show can just, like, make it rain weed all over the damn country, you know? And so, you know, and on the tax topic, I just found this article, and it's something I've been working on actually a lot locally because, you know, a lot of our marijuana tax dollars, it goes to the state. I think Colorado collected like $275 million last year. And then it probably has been higher years previous to that. Like it probably in 2014, it was like maybe near or around the $400 million a year. And then it's kind of been depreciating over the years because the cost of weed's been going down because everybody's competing, all the grows, blah, blah, blah. And so cost of weed's going down, tax revenue's going down. But the truth is for 10 years, they've like created this brand new revenue stream that never existed because marijuana wasn't legal. And it's equated to 250 to 350 million a year on average over the last 10 years, somewhere in there. And then, you know, the money is supposed to be going to regulating us, which is not, it should not cost that much money.
No.
And then it's supposed to go to like education funds. It's supposed to go to prevention funds. And it does. But what we're finding in our little community is that like, there's like almost like, I don't know, it's a very low probability that we can even get it back so that our school could be improved here because we're in a rural, you know, underfunded area. And there's like all these weird requirements to even qualify for the money. And last night I was at a board meeting, you know, because I'm on the board here and for the town. And there was a lady that was there on behalf of, it's like a juvenile kind of detention service. They're trying to like, it's like a juvenile diversion service.
Sure.
And it was started by our sheriff's office, I think back in the early 80s, actually. And so, you dogs are so good. Back in the early 80s. And they started this program. So like if, you know, you were running into, you know, kids who were having problems or breaking the law or they were in possession or whatever, they created this diversion program. It was like our sheriff, Bill Masters. It's actually a cool program. It's so kids don't end up with like felonies unless they absolutely need it. And so I'm learning about this all night and last night. And so, you know, some of the money from cannabis goes into the general fund and some of that money is available for these programs. But I come to find last night that based on the Senate bill, they can only access those funds if a kid has been moved into an area where they're no longer qualified for diversion. So prevention is out of the question. Yeah. They can't access that money for prevention because they can only access it if the kid is already past the point of diversion, which is absolutely bonkers. It's like Senate Bill 215 in Colorado. And it's like, why are we making it impossible? Why are we creating these hurdles to use this money that's brand new, that has been billions of dollars of new revenue over the last 10 years, and we can't even access it? The schools are supposed to be able to apply for the BEST grant, right? And the BEST grant is so we can improve our system, and we can improve our salaries and our structure and do things for the kids for rural, underfunded, underserved areas. But there's a hurdle to apply for the BEST grant, which is the taxpayers in the area need to fork over $10 million. That's bullshit. That is bullshit. Like, you're talking like you collected all this extra like drug money, right? In the federal government's eyes, right? Still, right now we're like rescheduling this DEA hearing maybe. So it's still drug money. I'm still a cartel. And you guys can't like help our school out, help our kids out like Proposition AA in Colorado said you would. I'm just saying. And now there's an article that just came out the other day. It says cities mostly put marijuana tax revenue toward police and general funds instead of education and health programs, right? And that's bullshit, because they're all talking about like, oh, we're going to use this for this, or we'll use this for that. And I'm not saying it's bad that it's going to police. That's fine. I think that the police need money. I think the police need support. The fire departments need support. The school systems need support. What I'm saying is like, we're sending all this money out and it's not trickling back. Yeah. And that's what's up. And so this article is really interesting too. If we can pull that up, it's, marijuana moment. Cities mostly put marijuana tax revenue toward police and general funds instead of education and health. And that is a disservice. Like, that's a misappropriation of funds. Like the amount of money that you're taking from the cannabis industry, which I quoted before, which is like a substantial amount of the revenue that we make is going to the state, so much so that I feel like a slave to the state. And the money, don't come back to us. It doesn't come back to our communities, our schools, or any of that. We send it up to Denver. We never see it again, and then we just keep asking our taxpayers for money. And it's like, dude, you got all this money. That's crazy to me. And so check that article out as well. I get super passionate and heated about that, so I'll take a little break.
No, that's understandable. I think that you're in the right to think that this tax dollars and all this amount of money that's coming out of the industry should be more appropriately distributed towards education, towards health programs, and not just going right after or funding, police involvement or what do they call those school kind of security officers or whatnot. I never really liked that. There was definitely an increased presence when I was going to high school right outside of Madison, and it didn't seem to really fix any problems. It just seems to get more people in trouble, which I'm not really here for. There's definitely other ways to spend that money, use that money. That tax dollars is there to be used in a responsible way, and just kind of like shifting it over to law enforcement to be a blanket solution doesn't fix the problems. And so I think there's some good gems in the article too that kind of call out in different instances how this money and kind of is being used and why that's not really the best way to use it.
Yeah, and it's just important to know. It's important to know our point of view ahead of time as all these new states are coming online. We got like Ohio, Illinois. I think Kentucky's about to come online. Texas is talking about stuff. Arizona is relatively new compared to Colorado. Colorado was like, medical was 2009. Yep. Then we got like 2014 was rec. And so it's just like important for you guys to hear us say that they're not spending the money in the right way. It's not coming back to our communities like they said that. And so this is like another instance of like, we're trusting the politicians to do what's good for us, and they're not doing it. They're creating hurdles that are hard to get over, or hurdles that once you go over, there's no turning back. Like for the kids, like you can only access the funds to help with the kids who are having problems with crime or substances. You can only access those funds after they're past the point of diversion, which means they're going to get a felony or a misdemeanor. It's like, that's fucking ass backwards. Like, how about using that money before it's going to require a misdemeanor or a felony for a kid? I mean, that's going to like completely change their lives. And the program that we have out here in Norwood, Telluride, San Miguel area, it's really good. And you could tell listening to her last night, it's like she cares so much about the kids. She really does. Like, you could see it all over her face, and it was so apparent. And I just wish our politicians looked the same way when they thought about this stuff, because it's like, you know, I mean, it's a reality, the fact. So all these new states, all these, you know, like, keep track of what these guys are doing. Keep track of where the money's going. If they're gonna tax you out the ass like this, make sure you keep them on a short leash. They shouldn't tax us like this anyways. I mean, I think we paid 7 times the amount of alcohol for the same amount of revenue last year. And so it's like, you know, that kind of sucks. And so, yeah, you know, keep an eye on these guys, and then keep an eye on the beer industry group who says, let's tax these people more. It's like, they're not even doing like good shit with the money they're already taxing us. Yeah. You know, like, how about it, man? Like, kick rocks. I need to talk about something else. You know, I was like on the other show that I do with my kiddo. We were supposed to do this like little spit for Johnny. And so, yeah, and I totally spaced doing it. And so I'm going to do it here. You know, there's a huge Black Friday sale coming up for Soul Paddleboard. I don't know if you guys have done this. Soul Paddleboard, you know, it's like paddleboarding out on the lake, stuff like that. Once upon a time, people wanted a pony for Christmas. Now they want a Soul Paddleboard. Pretty crazy. It's like, it's that nice, like, green, yellow, orange paddleboard you see on top of people's cars. Or there's even like a yellow and a blue. That's the one I have. But yeah, this Black Friday sale they got going on, so much shit is like 50% off. And then everything else at the very least is 30% off. So check out Soul Paddleboard. That's like a homie from the Telluride area. And we just want to see them have a great holiday. And this is me making up for not doing it on the other show. So I'm sorry, everybody.
Little cross promo.
But yeah, check out Soul Paddleboard, Black Friday sale, 30 to 50% off everything. And so, yeah, I love those guys. And I got a sumo.
Oh, yeah.
Paddleboard. Yeah, I took that out. You saw that video of me in Memphis? I was like, oh, shit, dude. Float. It was like the best thing ever. You know, you could like sit out there, smoke a bowl. I fell in a couple times. I felt like such a noob.
That means you're doing it right.
I was doing it
trying.
Right. Yeah, if you're not falling, you're not trying hard enough. And so, but yeah, you know, I mean, as far as the rest of the show goes, I feel like we got everything in. Unless there's anything else you can think of that we should chat about today.
No, man, I think we covered some good ground. I know there's a lot of things happening, like politically behind the scenes, new appointees getting positions and kind of things moving around. And so what I see coming out of that is that there's going to be a lot of shakeup in the next few months as new kind of leadership steps into office, and with that, his new cabinet and other appointees. So we're going to be on the lookout. We're going to have our ears on the ground, finding out news that's going to be happening. That's going to be potentially shaking up multiple different industries. And so, you know, there's definitely a push to kind of update where we are with health in this country. There's a push to update where we are with spending in this country. And so there's a lot of big names attached to that are going to be pushing for some monumental changes. So I'm excited for it. I'm here for it. I think in my opinion, think we've gotten a little complacent over the last couple years with our leadership and with the way things are done and run and how money is spent on a federal level, and how organizations and industries and businesses are taxed on a federal and state level. And so I'm excited to see how those shifts play out.
Yeah, I'm with you. You know, it's like every article I see right now is like about, I mean, when it comes to like marijuana industry, it's about pretty much how all of these picks for cabinet members, for positions, which I think that, I was listening to the Joe Rogan podcast a little while ago, and I don't remember, it was the one he was like interviewing Trump, and Trump was like, it was like 1,000 or 10,000 different positions he has to appoint, something like that. It's a large number of appointments that he has to make. And so the fact that like we keep getting, I mean, every time I open up the internet, there's like another negative appointment that is being displayed to me, which I'm like not really sure or unsure who to believe at this point. But yeah, every time there hasn't been one yet, right, where you like open the internet and they're like, yay,
yeah,
what the fuck?
No.
It's all bad?
No, none of that.
It's all 100% bad.
Yeah.
It can't be 100% bad. And I know, and a lot of it in the cannabis realm, it all has to do with like, oh, you just appointed this person that's like going to be terrible for cannabis. And it's like, listen, all I know is that for 15 years, whether they said they would do things for cannabis or they said they wouldn't, nothing has really changed. As a matter of fact, I think this is the DEA's 16th attempt since like 1972 to reschedule cannabis, all of which have failed. And right now, if you look up what's going on, because it's supposed to come up on December 5th, is the DEA hearing to reschedule cannabis. And now there's all this talk about delay and allegations and blah, blah, blah. And they're stalling. And so here's the deal. We just need to legalize it. Stop playing games. We don't need to tax it more. We don't need to regulate it more. Like, you're going to have child-proof containers on cannabis, but not alcohol? You're going to have excise tax on cannabis, but not alcohol? Like, you're out of your goddamn mind. And so just free the plant. That's going to be something that you hear from, because it needs to be freed. People who are in the lower and middle class need to be able to access it in a way where they can like participate in the industry. Maybe they can make a little extra money. Maybe the regulations provide for that, like a farmer's market. Because it's a crop. Yeah. It's an agricultural crop. Like let's be real. Like the federal government come in and taxing it and regulating it, and we have a special way of banking. We have a special way of this, special way of that. Nah. Like, let's just like look at what we're doing for alcohol. Let's look at what we're doing for tobacco, and let's let's make this shit happen. Like let's stop like. I mean, I don't understand like what it takes, but 15 years I've been waiting for some sort of change to happen. Never does. It's always deja vu. I hope they get their heads out of their asses this time. I do know that Trump, I don't know a lot of things about Trump, but I do know he said he supports the rescheduling and he supports the Safer Banking Act. My point of confusion is like, if we reschedule as a Schedule 3, I feel like that tells banks right there that they can just bank for cannabis. Like, I'm pretty sure like hormone therapy is Schedule 3. I could be wrong about that. No. But you can get that at a pharmacy, and pharmacies are allowed to bank. Right. And so it's like, if it's a Schedule 3, then what we should just be able to bank. Like right now, the banks won't work with us because we are a Schedule 1, which is it's a substance with no medicinal value that is just seen as destructive, which cannabis is not.
That's such a crazy label to put on it, because everyone, the federal government, people, humans, humanity, have known since the beginning that no, this definitely has medicinal value in a multitude of different ways. I mean, look at all the different products and solutions that hemp and THC and CBD and all the different CBG that you were telling me about have offered. I mean, it's pretty mind-blowing. It's an amazing medicine, and it's long overdue to be rescheduled.
Amen to that, brother. Well, you know what? I think that's all the time we got. What you think?
Yeah, man. I feel like that was the wrap.
We love you guys. Have a great Thanksgiving. Eat some turkey.
Yeah.
Some turkalana.
Yeah, I was going to say
Eat
that.
The turkalana.
The turkalana. Yeah. Make some stuffing. Have some fixins.
Maybe put a little bit of bacon on top of that green bean casserole. Anyways, thank you. It really helps us out if you follow us, subscribe. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, YouTube. Emerson has been making those beautiful videos that y'all love. Subscribe. Help a couple of guys out like us, and we'll keep being the squeaky wheel.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because, this shit's for real. All these states, all these things, federally, we got some things to think about. So, support us. We love you. Our website is now live.
That's the dopest dope. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Live.
So, check that out. We got a little one or two things to, fix in there, but you guys will like it. And we got nothing but love for you. We'll see you soon.
Stay tuned.